coming up on a special episode of Small Town Big Deal.
Ladies and gentlemen, our honorees tonight are Bridges of Hope.
Recognizing those who are doing what many thought couldn't be done.
The land that we're standing on right now was once the county dump, and now it's growing things to feed the neighborhood.
Touching hearts, building hope, and saving lives.
I feel really grateful to have these dynamic and growing relationships that are filled with love.
Welcome to Small Town Big Deal.
We've traveled across the country and firmly believe that the people in small towns are the hands that keep America strong.
So join us, Rodney Miller,
And Jan Carl,
as we show you the great things these people do on Small Town Big Deal. Welcome to this very special edition of Small Town Big Deal. I'm Rodney Miller.
And I'm Jan Carl. And it's special not because we're dressed up.
Well, can I say you look really glamorous tonight?
Well, I'm not in jeans or a flannel shirt, and you know, you're looking pretty swanky yourself.
Thank you. You clean up good.
I have legs. You've never seen me in a dress before, I don't think.
You know, Jan and I are honored to bring you great stories from all across America.
And what brings us here tonight is love and inspiration that has truly made a difference in communities all across the nation. We're in Atlanta for the True Inspiration Awards, a special celebration created and hosted by the Chick-fil-A Foundation.
The restaurant chain that's best known for all things chicken is also big on helping our nation's youth be everything they were created to be and more.
In some communities, that's a daunting task. So the True Inspiration Awards recognize those who make a positive impact in their communities by helping and inspiring future leaders. The winners receive grant funding from the Chick-fil-A Foundation.
Today, we'll get to know a few people who aren't just winners, they're heroes.
And these people are the bridges in their communities. They're the bridges for so many kids, they're bridges of hope. We want to make sure that they're celebrated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kevin Frazier.
I used to work with Kevin at Entertainment Tonight.
It's beautiful what Chick-fil-A is giving out this kind of funding for these organizations that are looking around and are saying, we need to help these people here.
22 awards are handed out to great organizations like Door of Hope in Pasadena, California.
In 30 years, they've helped hundreds of homeless adults and children rebuild their lives.
Or Lecotech of Atlanta, Georgia, who empowers children with disabilities through play.
However, an organization like Friends of the Children takes the idea of mentoring to a whole nother level.
We provide a salaried professional mentor from kindergarten through graduation, 12 and a half years.
What kind of relationship is created with a mentor you have for over 12 years?
It's a powerful one, just one that provides hope, empowerment, and love.
And those are 3 solid reasons to take a closer look at the mentoring program, Friends of the Children.
As a musician, Spencer Hill hopes to hit just the right note with these kids.
That's the one. Thank you. Good job.
That's because as a mentor, he is committed to shaping their lives.
We really try and focus on empowering them, making them self-sufficient, and just being able to be successful out here without us.
Spending time in a recording studio is one of the countless activities that these kids would never have had the opportunity to do otherwise.
I think she's just going to listen to it. We just got the perfect tech, though, from her.
There are hundreds of full-time mentors employed by Friends of the Children. With over a dozen chapters nationwide, they touch thousands of young lives.
Friends of the Children started in 1993 right here in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, and for 25 years, they've been transforming this community by changing lives, one child at a time. Where do you think these children would be if there was no Friends of the Children?
They will be either embedded in the welfare system or they will be in prison.
Program founder Duncan Campbell grew up in this Portland neighborhood where Friends of the Children is headquartered today.
At the time, it was a rough area. His parents were alcoholics living on welfare. even as a kid, he wanted to make his community better.
So I actually decided when I was 12 years old that I didn't want another child to have my childhood.
Through sheer determination, Duncan worked his way into the investment industry.
By 1990, he made enough money to give back, so he created Friends of the Children to break the cycle of generational poverty.
And pick 100 kindergarten children, and we ask for the most difficult children. So it's the reverse of what you do on a playground. Number one draft pick is the children that has the greatest need. These children are the most vulnerable, and you cannot change these children's lives in 6 to 8 months, let alone 3 to 4 years.
You're picking that child that gets picked last in reality
Exactly.
in life.
That's exactly right.
We'll stay with them no matter what. Through the ups and downs, we'll always stay with them.
So even if they get in trouble, you want to try to get them through that.
Exactly. You know, success is usually not a straight line.
The average is that 85% of them graduate from high school and get a GED. 60% of them came from a parent who never finished high school. That gives you the perspective. Yeah. We keep 92 to 96% out of the juvenile justice system, when 50 to 60% of them have a parent that's been incarcerated.
Check this out, we'll go over there in a second. This is where we are. Who can find Mount Adams?
Right there. For mentor Gregg Lavender, helping kids like these 4th and 5th graders navigate a successful path is very fulfilling.
I feel really grateful to be living this life where I get to have these dynamic and growing relationships that are filled with love. One of my favorite things about caterpillars is it turns into a completely different creature. Just like all 3 of you are going to go through lots of changes that you don't know about, and then you're going to be very different when you're adults.
And remember that song the kids were recording earlier with Spencer? Well, it's almost done. High school senior Dorian Neira just needs to add vocals.
My teacher sent me out of class for the 3rd time.
It's kind of like a song that represents what Friends of the Children does. Is the first verse. I'm talking about my struggles.
Just walking home at 1 a.m. I do not know what the next step is. I've been down this road before. I don't want to go again. Walking home, I'm all alone. All I need now is a friend.
Spencer, his 2nd verse, he comes in. He talks about helping me.
I'm your conscience coming through. I got you.
I gotta get right back up. I gotta get right back up. I gotta get right.
What did the True Inspiration Award mean for you all?
We're the best kept secret. We're one of the most effective programs in the world. Yeah. But then somebody becomes aware of it, and then you're fortunate enough to get an award. And for us, it's just part of helping us tell the story.
You could get right back up. You can do it.
When we come back, how one after-school program is helping a whole neighborhood to rise.
Yeah, I'm not teaching you, you're teaching me.
Welcome back to Small Town Big Deal. We're at the Chick-fil-A True Inspiration Awards.
They honor individuals who make a difference in communities by helping and inspiring America's youth to become future leaders.
Among the awards handed out is the S. Truett Cathy Honoree, named for the Chick-fil-A founder.
This year, we honor a remarkable organization called the Leaven, which has done inspiring work in reshaping many communities in Northern and Southern California from within. The Leaven's success is very promising and provides great encouragement for other organizations serving underserved and at-risk communities across the country.
The Leaven took faith's emboldened light and used it to lift a community out of the shadows.
The Leaven is open!
It's a little after 3 in the afternoon, and the young learners at one of the Leaven's after-school sites in Fairfield couldn't be happier. After a full day in the classroom, they're ready for more.
They really want to better themselves. They want to be better readers. They want to be better thinkers. They want to really perform in their classroom.
As executive director of the Leaven, Mark has taken the message found in a biblical parable about transformation and brought it to life for hundreds of at-risk children at the organization's 16 centers across California. So the Leaven name, how did that come about and how did it get started?
The Leaven is a biblical concept. We're a faith-based organization, so just adding a little bit of time, a little bit of money, a little bit of resources allows for an entire community, an entire neighborhood to grow and to rise.
helping entire neighborhoods to rise above the endless cycle of drugs, gangs, and violence is the Leaven's mission.
And one key ingredient is building their centers inside a neighborhood's housing project.
It came from listening to the residents, listening to the mothers that were in that community. They said, you know what, we need a safe place for our children to go. And the gang members are lining up right in front of our school, and they're picking off our kids before they get right into our neighborhood.
By partnering with local governments, school districts, and the church community, the Leaven is living proof that if you build it, they will come.
A group of people got together with some hammers. They converted an apartment complex, 2 of the apartment units to the center, and it was sold out the first week we were there.
You know, it almost seems too simple.
It does, doesn't it?
You know, I mean...
That's why the slogan, it works. It just does.
John Carli is the police chief of Vacaville, California.
How has having the Leaven here impacted this community?
So when we tried to take a snapshot of what was different from before and after, was over 50% reduction in calls for service and nearly 50% in reduction in crime.
In what period of time?
6 months.
6
In
months?
6 months, it impacted it that quickly?
Yes.
And in neighborhood after neighborhood, in apartment complexes and housing developments where the Leaven has planted its flag, light is chasing away darkness.
Sub. Tub.
When kids are getting help, when good people are coming to do good things within these neighborhoods, folks take a look at their lives and they go, I wonder if that's something that I want to engage in, or do I want to engage in all this destructive behavior? And so either they change their ways, which is the best, or they move on.
As crime has gone down, school attendance and academic performance has gone up, way up.
How have your grades changed?
My grades changed from to A's. It was S, F's at first.
Wow, that's a big change. So how does that make you feel about you?
It makes me feel happy.
What's your favorite subject?
Reading.
Reading. So what do you like to read about?
I read about like green eggs and ham.
Green eggs and ham, that's a good story.
1, 2, 3, eyes on me. 1, 2, eyes on you.
When you walk through those doors of the Leaven site, it's all about I can. I can, we're gonna try, and we're gonna keep trying until we get this.
We want to welcome the folks from Small Town Big Deal. Let's give them a hand.
Today you have 2 extra volunteers.
Oh, wonderful.
So I can't guarantee that I can do the 5th grade math, but Rodney can.
Oh, good, Rodney, thank
She can read, I'll do the math.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I'll have a bunch of great nice
nieces.
Sitting down with these Leaven kids really took me back, but I'm not sure who was tutoring who.
Oh, I see. So then you go this way on the triangle.
Yeah.
You're teaching me. I'm not teaching you. You're teaching me. And what have you seen about schoolwork? Have you seen an improvement?
Oh, yes.
How does that make you feel as a mom?
I'm proud. Yeah, proud, proud.
By revitalizing their communities from the inside out, the Leaven is clearly showing that with the right recipe, we all can rise together.
So we've seen fantastic things happen within these neighborhoods that we've served, things that you wouldn't expect from just a tutoring center, because people do have real hope and they have a vision for tomorrow.
Up next,
I was tired. I didn't want that life anymore.
From dealing dope to dealing hope.
welcome back to Small Town Big Deal. We're at the True Inspiration Awards.
This annual celebration, created and hosted by the Chick-fil-A Foundation, honors individuals and organizations making a difference in communities by giving back to help and inspire youth to become future leaders.
22 awards are handed out to outstanding organizations like No Greater Sacrifice. They educate children of fallen and wounded service members.
Or Teach for America. They are strengthening educational equality and excellence all across America.
Then there's the groundbreaking program called Urban Ventures.
Urban Ventures' mission is educating kids, supporting their families, and transforming our communities.
Urban Ventures' accomplishments are as stunning as its beginnings.
it's a tale of how both forgiveness and love still power a community's astonishing transformation after 25 years.
This was a neighborhood that caused Minneapolis to be called Murderapolis in 1996. His gang caused this to be Murderapolis. This was their headquarters right here.
John Turnipseed spent the first part of his life in and out of prison. As a gang leader back in the early 1990s, protecting his turf at any cost was a way of life.
Hitting somebody in the head with a bat, that was okay if they mess with you. That's how I thought.
Back then, the thinking on the streets in this South Minneapolis neighborhood reflected a community lost in a cycle of despair.
We bought a lie, and I believed in it. We produced kids that failed. There was no future, but that was our future.
At about the same time, on the same turf John claimed as his, Art Erickson started Urban Ventures.
He wanted to break the cycle of urban poverty.
So we had athletic programs, we had summer programs. Now John wanted nothing to do with what we were doing. None of his people did.
In the early days, you two guys didn't really care much for each other.
When you're trying to raise criminals, you know, people that come in and try to interrupt that, that's bad for business, you know, and that's what Art was doing.
Eventually, John hit rock bottom. So with nowhere else to turn, he reached out to Art.
I was tired. I didn't want that life anymore.
After a long struggle, John turned his life around. He went from gang leader dealing dope to community leader dealing hope.
Today, John is the executive vice president of Urban Ventures, working side by side with his one-time rival, Art.
And we've done great work.
The bedrock of that friendship fuels Urban Ventures' continuing commitment to break the cycle of urban poverty by educating kids, strengthening their families, and building a healthy community.
And healthy communities start with healthy food.
Oh, you just planted a head of lettuce.
In water.
Yeah.
I've never done that before.
Look at that.
This lettuce, along with these peppers and tomatoes, are being grown in the most unlikely of places.
The land that we're standing on right now was once the county dump. So this was a space that wasn't used at all, and now it's growing things to feed the neighborhood. In between these two rows can all go.
It smells good.
Rodney and I are at City Kid Farm with about a dozen volunteers who are busy cleaning equipment and clearing brush.
City Kid Farm is part of Urban Ventures' social enterprise program.
City Kid Market, City Kid Honey, and City Kid Java create jobs while educating and nourishing the community.
Good work. Come on, Jules.
Roger Ross is director of Urban Venture Athletics.
The year-round program gives kids a shot at building healthy relationships through sports.
Coaches not looking for how good you are. They want to see how your character too and your grades. And we want to make sure that we create an environment where it's a safe haven for our kids.
If you had to tell me what these coaches are like as guys, what are these guys like?
They're really motivational because they push you, but they don't push you too hard.
Urban Ventures programs continue to reshape this neighborhood. Since its inception 25 years ago, crime has plunged by 45%, and over 220 businesses have returned to this community.
But that doesn't mean anyone at Urban Ventures like Art or John are resting on their laurels.
This will never be Crack Alley again. It will never be Crack Alley again.
These two former rivals believe any community can solve the complexities of urban poverty. You just start with the basics.
And what you need is a relationship of reconciliation and love. Love you, John.
Love you too.
Welcome back to Small Town Big Deal.
We hope you've enjoyed this very special edition of Small Town Big Deal.
You know, after telling the stories of some of the Chick-fil-A Foundation's True Inspiration Award winners, I can say without a doubt that Rodney and I are greatly inspired.
And we hope you were too. And together, working hard and leading by example, we can help every child be all they were created to be. I'm Rodney Miller.
And I'm Jan Carl.
Join us again next week when once again we celebrate the great stories from across America. So we're here telling a story about mentoring.
What was the next line to think about? And
that's why we're here
entering.
Into the soundstage where Dorian was
Singing.
And you'll see it on the show that we're bringing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Man, we need some music put on the back of that. That drowns us
got it.
out.
You
We
got
need
it.
music that drowns
Well,
us
when
out.
they mix it, they'll drown us totally out. But this is a proper noun because it's the name of something, I think.
What do you do when you have the two on the bottom, right?
Yeah, I always get confused on that. I don't know. You're asking me? And then the next line is marine. Oh, Maine, you're right. I got my glasses.